The mystery, horror and intrigue that surrounds the legend of Dracula comes to life in Martin Kukk's fascinating book titled True Story of Dracula. The action centres around a group of American university students who travel to Romania with their teacher to gain first-hand knowledge for their history assignment about Vlad the Impaler, the 15th century prince of Wallachia that is sometimes purported to be Dracula. Whilst excited about the trip, the students are not particularly impressed with the ancient stories and the old world culture they encounter in Romania. It's like stepping back in time for the students, whose interest in the country and its history is only piqued when they visit Bran Castle, the real home of Vlad and the mythical home of Dracula. The menace of the ancient walls, a strangely beguiling tour guide, and the mystique of the castle's secret tunnels and hidden rooms leads the students to speculate on whether the myth could in fact be true. Not only about Vlad actually being Dracula, but whether Dracula himself could still be alive. In spite of the fear caused by some unexplained experiences that occur after they leave Bran Castle, the students find themselves drawn back to visit the castle after hours and without their tutor. It's then that an intensely scary series of fast-paced events unfold that will have every reader's heart racing. Martin Kukk has a clear appreciation of modern-day student life, and he obviously has fun with his group of young characters who are at the same time self-assured, uber-cool and adolescently insecure. They're obsessed with social media, food and friends. They come to the lessons of history reluctantly, seeing little relevance in it until history quite literally comes alive. Kukk fleshes out the historical aspect of the book with intense devotion to detail. His thorough depiction of life in the time surrounding Vlad III's birth, family, abandonment and subsequent lifelong retribution is nothing short of a history lesson. We learn about Vlad's grandfather, father and brother and the harsh environment that quite literally made Vlad III a monster. It's this that lends credibility, like no author has before, to the notion that Vlad could have been Dracula, the most iconic of vampires. Without a doubt, readers will also draw parallels between the characters of old and the young students, each facing their own battles of ego, jealousy, vanity and survival of the fittest. Where the lines are blurred between the well-presented historical facts and the fanciful events of the present day is where our own imaginations as readers take over and the scene is set for a riveting ride. Students exploring the dark and treacherous corners of an ancient castle, encountering shape-shifting beings that entice and beguile them, being separated from the group which leaves them at the mercy of an ancient menacing force. The pace is terrific and the story gripping. There are many strengths to Kukk's writing, particularly his skill with characters and pace. The only question mark lies in the distinctly different texts that sit side by side, the historical account and the fictional narrative that are not integrated at all. However, we can make allowances for this given that both sections are an interesting read and that the manuscript is geared to a movie script rather than a novel. However, it makes for a long read and the detail can become distracting, with the reader wanting to push ahead to the action scenes. However, action there is aplenty and it's worth waiting for. I have been careful here not to put in any spoiler alerts so that all readers can enjoy their own journey through this very fascinating true story of Dracula. Well, as I mentioned earlier, no one has ever managed to successfully forge a link between Vlad III and Dracula as Kukk has. You find yourself at the end of this book having it firmly cemented that there is indeed a connection, and perhaps even more fascinating, that the legend lives on to this very day. If you haven't come across True Story of Dracula, I'd recommend you take a look. And that includes you, film producers and manuscript reviewers. It's on Amazon.com and available now, so get your copy right away and settle in for a good read.